The harsh realities of nuclear war. Hey everybody, this is Michael with Asymmetrical Preparedness. It's a hot topic right now. We're seeing this conflict escalating. We're being pushed into this world event. And a lot of people are talking about nuclear war and the possibility of it. Yes, it is a possibility. Will it be widespread? Will it be localized? Will it be here on our soil? We don't know that. But I just hear a lot of talk about it. And everybody's talking about it. And it's one of those things, okay, so how can we prepare for it? That's more important to me. So I want to talk about some stuff, some realities, cold hard facts about how it would go down, what we can do about it, stuff like that. But before I get into the video, please subscribe, hit that notification bell for all, give the video a thumbs up, share the videos, comment below. Very important because we got to beat the that Al Gore thing and get our voices out there so that we can be heard, because they don't want to hear from me. They don't want you learning. They don't want you talking, nothing like that, because they don't like us. We are anti their agenda. So what are the realities? In my location in Western Washington, there is a primary nuclear target, being Bangor Submarine Base, which is where Trident nuclear missile submarines are stationed, as well as Kings Bay, Georgia. Those are the two locations that are nuclear submarines, not nuclear powered submarines, but nuclear missile submarines are stationed. So, being in fairly close proximity is something I have to think about. I was just thinking about this, talking to my wife and stuff like that, and when would we have first indication that something was going down like this? Okay, first indication would probably be, I don't hold any faith in our government letting us know that nuclear missiles are inbound. I seriously don't think they would, because it would create widespread havoc and chaos, and the roads would be, packed, and people would be trying to flee and running over each other, and just total freakish chaos. So I don't hold any faith that we would be notified. So what would the first notification I would receive that this is happening? Would be us experiencing the light, the brightest light that we have ever seen in our lives from the flash. Because the speed of light is faster than the speed of sound, right? Okay. Followed by, then we'd hear the sound. Then, followed by that, we would, depending on the prevailing winds and the size of the device, it would progress from there. What will we see? Depends. The odds are the first strike would be a smaller nuke from a ballistic missile submarine, a Russian ballistic missile submarine. That in itself, where I'm located, would not be an imminent danger. But because it is such a primary nuclear target, it would be followed up by a big boy strike, a land-based intercontinental ballistic missile submarine, or intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM. That would be a concern. So what am I going to do? What's my plans? Well, keep an eye and an ear on it. And if things really seem like they're getting like very, very high likelihood, like it's going to happen probably, or something like that, increased tensions, I would have the truck even more loaded up than it already is. I would have as many supplies, food, water, freedom tools, defensive stuff like this, seeds for that, tactical gear, my etc. prep boxes, all the stuff I could possibly fit in my truck preloaded, so that all we have to do is jump in the truck and head south. So, and this is in my situation. So what can you learn about, research, and set yourselves up for the best chance of success as possible? One of the big things is your proximity to a primary or a secondary nuclear target. You need to figure that out. I don't know where you live. If you are within, say, 30 to 50 miles of a primary nuclear target, then you need to have a plan in place to get out. You also need to know the direction of the prevailing winds. Which direction do the winds prevail? Do they go east to west? Do they go north south? Do they go west east? Whatever. And then what you need to do is you need to head the opposite direction, or a 90-degree direction from the prevailing winds. Prevailing winds usually go, like ours, east west, west east. So the best thing to do is actually not to head in the opposite direction, because if the prevailing winds change, then you could be suffering also. So head a 90. So I would head south in my spot. And I would try to, another thing you can do is you can get mountains between you and these strike zones. You can also do things like, if you have any kind of property like I do, if you're renting, you're very limited in what you can do. If you are in an apartment, you can't do what I'm talking about. If you're living in a city, if you don't have any dirt or ground around you, like no yard, then you can't do these things, what I'm going to talk about right now. But I'm going to cover some other stuff also, so stand by for that. There's still good information. If you, like my property here, I have a slope that goes right behind me that goes down to my lower field. Well, I'm in the process of, right now, there's a bunch of blackberries growing up there for security, and for just because I can't keep up with keeping them all down, to be honest. I'm going to dig in or cut through the blackberries, and this raised portion, this level that I'm on, we're going to dig in and make a little fallout shelter. No, it is not a bomb shelter. If a bomb landed here, no, it wouldn't protect us. But a fallout shelter would give us some sort of protection. Using plastic sheeting, we'll brace it up really good, we'll build it properly, all that kind of stuff like that. I won't necessarily go the route of air filtration and stuff like that, so it is what it is. I mean, it would be better than nothing, but staying put here probably wouldn't be the best option. People talk about potassium iodide, they talk about a lot of different things. And yes, okay, those things might help a little bit. They basically would just delay the inevitable. There's not much that we can do to prepare for a nuclear war if we're in close proximity to a primary or secondary nuclear target, unless you have lots and lots and lots of money, or the ability to get out of there, which means move somewhere where there's low threats. So where do I perceive there to be low threats? I look at like northern Idaho, Montana, maybe the Ozarks, and maybe Appalachia. The Midwest isn't necessarily that great because there's a lot of missile silos there. The coasts are also not that great in the coastal states, at least the half of the state that's closest to the coast, because there's a lot of coastal targets. There's a lot of critical infrastructure like ports, military bases, etc. So first, what you can do is you can identify military bases in your area. You can also identify first strike, second strike targets for our nuclear arsenal. So just look up, where nuclear weapons bases are. Have a plan in place to, like I said, get out of there quickly. You might be able to make it. And if you get out quick enough, you may beat the rush onto the roads and get far enough away from it so the roads won't be clogged with people trying to get out. The cold hard facts, though, is most of us don't have the ability to really prepare ourselves effectively and properly for a nuclear war or nuclear strike near us. Time, distance, and shielding. Those are the three things to protect yourself from radiation. Time. Don't spend any more time in the area where radiation is than you absolutely have to. Distance. Create distance. Get away from it. There are some radiations, and I'm not going to go into this big spiel about radiations and all the different isotopes and all the different types of radiation work and stuff like that. Some of them are basically not stopped by almost anything, so you don't have to worry about that. The main thing is the fallout, which is The explosion happens, the mushroom cloud goes up, all that stuff in the atmosphere then filters back down. So our topsoil will be affected. If I didn't cover up my raised beds with effective coverings, then you couldn't grow in it anymore because it would be contaminated. Our groundwater would be contaminated unless you have a really deep well. And then it may eventually seep down to it. This is difficult. So the fallout, yes, okay, fallout mainly is what you're concerned about, the heavy particles. Those can be defeated by just like sheet plastic. They're not penetrating. They're not alpha, they're not gamma, they're not beta, or they are, I'm sorry, they're not beta, they're not gamma. They are alpha particulates, basically, of radiation, which, like I said, I'm not going to go into detail about that because I'll probably just go over everybody's heads. And I probably screw something up because I'm not a specialist in that, but I used to be part of a nuclear emergency team when I was in the military, and I was part of the downwind team. So what we did is we would go out if there was a nuclear accident, mainly at our facility. Then we would jump in our vehicle and we'd go out and we'd establish the different lines of radiation, where the contamination was, and set up barriers to protect people from getting too close to it. So that's what we would do. But basically, shielding. I almost forgot about shielding. Shielding is water makes a really good shield. Lead makes a really good shield. Any kind of earth makes good, decent shields. Big, heavy things. Trees, logs, bricks, rocks, earth, stuff like that. So if you're looking to do this, you could probably just dig a hole in your yard, make like a little root cellar type thing, put some kind of, lid on it, an opening, put a ladder down to it, as long as you support it properly and make it so it doesn't cave in and all that stuff like that. Put some short-term supplies in there. That may be effective. My biggest thing would be just to try to get away from it though. And I hear my little girl crying in the background, so something happened. So I need to go be a daddy. But think about these things. Don't get overwhelmed. I'm getting sick and tired of hearing about nuclear war, blah, 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 blah. Okay, there's not much we can do about it. But we need to be aware of what the threats are around us, just like any other threat. So do the research, figure out what plan could possibly work for you to give you at least a chance of survival. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day, and blessings to you and yours.